Alrighty, what is going on today YouTube, and welcome back to the channel. I just finished recording that last video of me reacting to reporters asking NBA players dumb questions, so I hope you guys enjoyed that one. Now today, it's a special one, so we're going to continue watching and reacting to the Making the Case series. Last one, or the first one we did was Wilt. Today, we're going to be checking out, I just realized I'm not subscribed. I got to hit, sorry, that's my bad. We're going to react to Making the Case with Tim Duncan. So this one's been revised, re-uploaded a year ago. And yeah, I loved watching that first one. It seemed like you guys enjoyed, the video with of me reacting to Making the Case with Wilt. So today, and a lot of you guys have been telling me that Tim Duncan is, arguably the second best video, or one of the best videos from the whole series. So that's what we're going to be reacting to today. And this is also my introduction to Tim Duncan. I haven't reacted to any of his highlights, any story videos, nothing. So this is my introduction to Tim. So what we're going to be doing is, once you watch this video, if you guys stick around till the end, we're going to be quickly going over his accolade, what he's achieved over the years. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you do, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and let me know in the comments who or what do you guys want to see for a future video, and I'll add it to the list. So hope you guys enjoy this one.
Basketball is special. Basketball is special. The size of the court and the lack of pads or helmets give fans the most intimate experience of a team sport that exists. And because of the different styles that basketball allows for, players develop their own distinct identities and signature styles through their creativity, flair, and athleticism.
Yep.
And although no player succeeds alone, the scoring volume and two-way nature of the sport give individual stars a nearly unprecedented amount of control over the flow and outcome of a game. For this reason, players are constantly compared to their peers and to the legends of the past in order to answer the most hotly contested question in the sport: who's the greatest to ever do it? For many, the question's redundant. They believe in only one right answer: their answer.
Hold on. What did that say? LeBron James says he belongs in NBA's Mount Rushmore. What do you guys think?
They believe in only one right answer: their answer. Others might have their own personal stance, but acknowledge one or two alternatives. But I believe that there's much more nuance to the question of greatness, and more answers to it than you might think. By my count, there are 8 players in NBA history that have a substantial claim as the GOAT. It's a subjective thing though. I can't give you a definitive answer. All I can do is make the case.
And here we go.
So today, I'll be making the case for Tim Duncan as the greatest basketball player of all time.
I'm excited for this one.
I know what you're thinking. No way. There's no chance that Tim Duncan is the GOAT.
Yeah.
He's not even the best player of his generation, you might say. You're thinking that there's no way that Duncan belongs in the same company as some of the other players in this series. And if you believe that, there's probably 3 things that you'll bring up as I make this argument. 1, his second act.
Okay.
If you're the kind of person who rates players through spreadsheets, his career in the 2010s is statistically underwhelming. 2, his peak. You might say that Duncan never had a real peak, where he was the most dominant player in the league night in and night out, like someone like Shaquille O'Neal was. And 3, Greg Popovich. Duncan has always had Pop, one of the very best coaches of all time, in his corner. I hear you, and I promise to address those throughout this video as they become relevant. Let's start with the big picture stuff. Duncan was a 5-time NBA champion, a 3-time Finals MVP, 2-time regular season MVP, 15-time All-Star, and he made 13 All-NBA teams and 15 All-Defensive teams.
That is insane.
Those 5 championships are more than Larry Bird or Wilt Chamberlain won. His 5th
More than Wilt and Larry Bird. That's crazy.
15 all-defensive selections are the more than Larry Bird or Wilt Chamberlain won. His 15 all-defensive selections are the most of anybody ever. His 15 All-Star appearances are tied for third all-time. He has as many regular season MVPs as Kobe and Shaq combined.
Oh shit.
And only Michael Jordan and LeBron James have more finals MVPs. Don't forget about his college accomplishments though, because remember, Duncan came out of Wake Forest after 4 years, despite people like Jerry West, who said he could have been the #1 pick if he had left after his sophomore year. Instead, by the end of that collegiate career, he was a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, 2-time ACC Player of the Year, 2-time Consensus All-American, and was the National Player of the Year his senior season. And when he heard his name called on draft night, he had left college basketball as its all-time leader in rebounds. That snapshot of a basketball career should be enough to have him at the table of any GOAT conversation. But you're not totally sold. To look at his career further, let's examine his place on some of the all-time leaderboards.
Now, before we go into this, I want to know, for you guys who've been watching basketball for years and years, and you have, I mean, pretty much all of you guys have more knowledge from me, because I don't think there's anyone else watching my videos who's also learned the sport, unless they are. But from the comments I read, it's pretty much you guys who've been watching for years. What's your opinion on Tim Duncan? You know, now obviously we're going to watch this video, see the statistics, what he's achieved and all that, and then we'll see why, you know, Clayton made, you know, a video, you know, arguing why Tim Duncan could be or should be considered as one of the GOATs. What are your thoughts on Tim Duncan? You know, does he deserve to have this video made for him? Or should it have been someone else? Let me know in the comments.
Where he ranks let's examine his place on some of the all-time leaderboards. Here's where he ranks all-time in the major statistical categories. There's some impressive.
Okay, so regular season totals. So 26,496, so 16th all-time rank. Rebounds, we got 15,091, 6th all-time. 3,000 blocks, 5th. 4K assists, 105th, and then 1K steals, 167th.
Impressive stuff here, but for the most part, it doesn't really jump off the page at you. His career totals are substantially less impressive than other players at his position, like KG, Karl Malone, or Dirk Nowitzki. And that is because you can't judge Tim Duncan's numbers like you can with most players. Imagine, in 15 years, if someone said to you that Russell Westbrook was better than Steph Curry, citing how many points and assists and rebounds Westbrook had. You'd laugh, right? Because you know that those numbers don't tell the full story. It would be impossible and irresponsible of me to talk about these players without mentioning the raw data that exists with them. But by measuring players purely by their box scores, you're leaving out the context in which those numbers were achieved. The context that makes those numbers meaningful. Such is the case with Tim Duncan, whose success and greatness transcend a box score. You can't judge Tim Duncan with numbers alone. The fact of the matter is that if you ran a team and you could pick from any NBA player to ever play the game, and your goal was to set your team up for success, you would pick Tim Duncan.
Nice.
For one, you have his play on the court, and we are going to talk about some numbers here for a little while. Offensively, he was dominant through the first 10 years of his career. From 98 to 08, he averaged 21.5 points, almost 12 rebounds, and 3 assists a game, while playing on one of the slowest teams in the league. In those 10 years, his teams never once ranked in the top half of the league for pace. Adjust his stats for pace and look at his numbers per 100 possessions, and you're looking at a big man who was every bit as productive as
Tim Duncan, 98.08 per 100 possessions, 31.2 points, 4 assists, 17.1 rebounds, 3 blocks. Shit, 50.8% from the field goal.
Any other possessions, and you're looking at a big man who was every bit as productive as any other offensive player in the league. You already know about his skill set. He was, after all, the big fundamental. He could pass out of double teams, face up and break down the defense with surprising agility, consistently knock down shots from the elbows, and torch any big man in the league with his array of moves in the post and subtly imposing physicality. He could masterfully run a pick and roll with any guard with working limbs. And of course, he had his signature bank shot, one of the most consistent and reliable shots of all time, right up there with Kareem's skyhook and Dirk's fadeaway. Those skills never deteriorated throughout his career, save perhaps his final year. And that's where I want to tackle the idea that his second act was unexceptional. His scoring numbers dipped in his last 8 years, never averaging over 20 points a game again. But as the Spurs offense became more collaborative and free-flowing, Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili shouldered more of that scoring burden as Duncan aged. His shot attempts fell, though he remained efficient. His skills hadn't waned. The Spurs just didn't need him to score 28 points every night.
It's like the video, The Beautiful Game with the Spurs. It's team basketball. So they were just relying on the one or two players to sort of carry the team. You know, they just work as a unit, you know, together.
He retained his role as leader and contributed in other facets of the game. That's why, in 2013, at the age of 36, he became the oldest player ever named to an All-NBA first team. He could pick his spots, put his teammates in position to succeed, and save himself undue punishment and wear until it was needed. Duncan was never a prolific scorer, even in his prime. His game was never predicated on gaudy point totals like Malone or Dirk. With a different offense, he took fewer shots. With fewer shots, he scored fewer points. The whole time, though, he remained the whole package. He was a tremendous rebounder, the go-to guy in crunch time, and don't forget, the best defender maybe ever. That's what hurts his stats more than anything. The lack of flashy numbers for defense outside of blocks and steals. It's so hard to measure how much a drive was cut off because of his presence, or how much a shot was altered because of his contention. There are some advanced metrics that attempt to do this, and although it is an inexact science, stats like defensive rating, defensive win shares, and plus-minus numbers do an admirable job of capturing the game's best ball stoppers. Duncan's place in those metrics is unmatched.
So defensive win shares, 106.3 second all time. Defensive rating, 95.6 third all time. Defensive blocks plus minus, which we covered in one of the most recent videos. I can't remember which one. It was one of the Jimmy High Roller videos. 2.3, 12th of all time. It's pretty much his influence on the court.
These metrics, along with his record 15 defensive selections, serve as a testament to how Duncan thrived when the opponent had the ball. Nate Silver's 538, a website that works with data and statistical analysis in every realm from politics to sports, published this article by Neil Payne. In it, Payne crunches several data points to come up with a player's WAR value, or wins above replacement. In other words, how much better were you than an average player?
Let's have a look.
Payne's WAR statistic valued balance above all else, players who succeeded at both ends of the floor. Tim Duncan was the leader by a mile.
That is crazy. So wins above replacement. So Tim Duncan, minutes played, 56,738. 108.1 offense, 110 defense. What's the I guess this is like the mean. Between like.
What does that all mean? It means that Tim Duncan was a tremendous offensive player, despite the lack of volume, and one of, if not the, greatest defenders of all time. In short, his value as a two-way player is virtually unmatched in the last 50 years of NBA basketball.
Which is insane.
So enough with the numbers. I want to talk about Tim Duncan when it mattered the most.
Let's do it.
Playoffs. And I want to use this time to dispute the idea that he doesn't belong in the GOAT conversation because he never had a transcendent peak. Look at any numbers, read any article, talk to any fan who paid attention to the game at the time, and you will come to the same conclusion every time. Tim Duncan was a killer in the postseason. Nearly all of his most memorable performances came in the playoffs, and more often than not, came in crucial games when his team needed him most. From his near quadruple double in the 2003 finals to
quadruple double. Imagine if he actually made like 10 blocks. That would have been sick.
close out most. From his near quadruple double in the 2003 finals to close out the Nets and earn his second championship, to his 25-point first half against the Heat in Game 6 of the 2013 finals 10 years later, there was never a moment that was too big for Duncan. Here are some of his playoff rankings, significantly higher than his regular season stats. That's because 1, he was in the playoffs more than anyone else of his era, and 2, he's one of the best playoff performers in NBA history. His 99 championship run was phenomenal as he tore through a young Kevin Garnett, the newly assembled Kobe Shaq.
I need to react to Kevin Garnett soon. He's been on the list for a while. And it's my bad if there's some of you guys still watching and you've been waiting for me to react to Kevin. Soon.
Was phenomenal as he tore through a young Kevin Garnett, the newly assembled Kobe Shaq Lakers, Rasheed Wallace's Trailblazers, and the Patrick Ewingless 8-seed Knicks on his way to being named the second youngest Finals MVP ever. His 0-2 campaign is incredibly underrated as he carried one of the worst teams of his career to 60 wins and outplayed Shaq before being beaten by the 2-time defending champs.
60 wins. And beating Prime Shaq. Did you say Prime Shaq?
60 wins and outplayed Shaq before being beaten by the 2-time defending champs.
I don't know why I said Prime.
0-3 was his best season, and we'll talk about it in a second. Just know that his running mate David Robinson averaged 8.5 points and 8 rebounds in the regular season, and that Duncan's win shares in that playoff run remain the most of anyone in a single postseason. In the mid to late 2000s, Duncan's teams remained fixtures in the playoffs against competition like Dirk's Mavs, Nash's Suns, and Kobe's Lakers. He repaid the Spurs by leading them to 2 more titles in 05 and 07.
Crazy.
He gave us one of the great shots of his career in Game 1 of the 08 Western Conference Finals against the Suns. Like I said earlier, in Game 6 of the 2013 Finals, at age 36, playing against Wade, Bosh, and Apex LeBron on the road, Duncan put up 25 points in the first half. It would have gone down as an all-time series-clinching performance had it not been for he got his revenge in 2014 as the Spurs played the best basketball that has ever been played.
Look, if by any chance you're watching this and you haven't seen the beautiful game Spurs, you guys have to watch it. Part 1 and part 2. Easily one of the best videos I have ever seen. Not just basketball related, just in general. The basketball that these guys played, that the Spurs played in 2014, was just absolutely amazing. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend watching it. It was just, it's so good.
In 2014, as the Spurs played the best basketball that has ever been played, setting the tone in Game 1 with a classic 21-10 while shooting 9 of 10 from the field. And as his last playoff hurrah, trying to defend the title at the ripe age of 38, in Game 7 of a first-round series against the Clippers, Duncan reached all the way back and put up 27 points and 11 rebounds, sinking crucial free throws to tie it before Chris Paul nailed a dagger. The same Tim Duncan that was giving the business to a 22-year-old Kevin Garnett was the same Tim Duncan that was taking a 26-year-old DeAndre Jordan to school. He was ready to win championships from the day he entered this league to the day he left it. And I think that's why his peak is used as an argument against him. The fact that his championship window lasted his entire 19-year career and that his teams were always somewhere between 50 and 60 wins means that it's hard for any one of them to stand out from the rest. And for some unfathomable reason, being consistently great is less of an accomplishment than being great for a short stint.
That doesn't make sense.
But if any of them do stand out, it's his 2003 season. After leading his team to 60 wins and his second consecutive MVP, Duncan eviscerated everything in his path as he tore through the playoffs. He upended the Suns, ended the Lakers' 3-year reign as champions, and outdueled Dirk before absolutely torching the Nets in the finals. By the time he was holding the trophy, it was clear, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that Duncan was the league's best, most complete player. Listen, I'd be lying if I said that Duncan's peak was higher than Shaq's. Shaq is the most dominant physical force since Wilt Chamberlain. But even still, there has never been a player at his position who has come anywhere near the apex of Timothy Theodore Duncan.
Honestly, it's hard to argue against that from at least from what I've seen here.
The truth is that Shaq was so much more of a spectacle. To watch Shaq at his peak was unlike anything else. To see someone of his size and stature move so powerfully and fluidly is still something of a miracle.
He's a tank.
To see Duncan at his peak was a lot like seeing him 7 or 8 years later. He was just a little faster, a bit stronger, and a touch quicker. But do aesthetics equal superiority? I'd say no. And although Shaq in his prime was certainly a more dominant offensive player, there was never a time when he could match Duncan's abilities as a defender, leader, or teammate. The two are antitheses of each other. Shaq loves fame. Duncan loathes it. Shaq would sometimes show up to training camp out of shape, often battled with his co-stars, and finished his career having played for 6 different teams.
Yeah, the fact that he played for 6 different teams is insane. And then, we watched the video with... So I watched a story video with Shaq and then a story video about Kobe. I can't remember which one it was where they were talking about... I think it might have been one of them. But they were talking about the relationship between Kobe and Shaq and then how he'd turn up to training, not in shape, out of shape, and just wasn't eating right, taking care of his body. I do want to watch and react to more videos that go sort of deeper into the relationship between Kobe and Shaq, but also like highlights of them working together. I know it's off topic, but he brought it up,
Duncan took great care of his body, cemented himself as the cornerstone of his franchise, and as one of the most celebrated teammates in NBA history.
Yep.
Shaq cared a little too much about what everyone thought about him, while Duncan couldn't have cared less. And while I'm at it, addressing these points of criticism, let's go ahead and tackle Pop.
I mean, that's how it should be, man. You can't just care about what everyone thinks of you,
He would be the first one to tell you that he wouldn't be here without Tim Duncan. For one, Duncan can play any style of basketball in any era. You want to go old school? Slow pace, dump it off to the big man down low, let him bang and be solid on defense? Titles. Remove the hand checking and illegal defenses, increase scoring, and start moving toward the perimeter? Titles. And when the league went small ball, the pace exploded, and shooting and ball movement became more important than anything, the Spurs posted the largest margin of victory in NBA Finals history. Second, he can play with any team. Honestly, has any superstar done more with less? Jordan had Pippen his entire run and Rodman for the last half.
Yep.
Bird had McHale and Parrish. Wilt had West and Hal Greer. Russell had Cousy, Jones, and Havlicek. Magic had Kareem and vice versa. Kobe had Shaq and vice versa. And LeBron's had Wade, Kyrie, and Anthony Davis. Duncan's best teammates, Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili, combined for 3 third-team and 3 second-team All-NBA appearances. They're great players, and they're both in the Hall of Fame, and not to take anything away from them. But Duncan's most important running mates are the only ones that I've mentioned who weren't on the NBA's 75th anniversary team. Third, and most importantly, Duncan forged the culture of the Spurs. Pop was essential in acquiring players and reinforcing the culture that Tim Duncan wanted, but Duncan was truly the most vital component. The NBA is a star-driven league, and finding a great player who hasn't gotten a coach fired is like finding a good Star Wars movie. They're few and far between. Not only...
All right. Another side note, Star Wars. Shit movie. Pretty good movie. Pretty good movie.
Not only did Duncan not get Pop fired, he let Pop coach him harder than any superstar has ever been coached. If Tim had ever thought to himself, you know what, I don't feel like getting my chops roasted in front of everyone today because I didn't box out right in practice, he could have gone right to R.C. Buford and Pop would have been gone. End of story. But Tim understood what Pop was about and trusted him enough to be mentored in an unprecedented way. He set the example for his teammates that no one is immune to criticism and that it is expected of everyone to leave their egos at the door.
I love that.
In 2017, the Spurs SB Nation blog Pounding the Rock spoke to Sam Walker, author of The Captain Class, a book that examines winning culture in sports, from field hockey to rugby. In an exchange, Walker said this: "The book's main conclusion is that the only one factor that must be present in order to maintain greatness over a long period of time is the presence of a particular kind of selfless, relentless, independent-minded, publicity-averse, emotionally composed captain with strong communication skills. And that's Tim Duncan. Duncan was a pure example of the species."
I mean, it just shows you, one, how good of a person Tim was, and Tim is, sorry, I should say, and then how good he was as the captain. And because of that, everyone looked up to him. It's hard to find people like Tim, man, especially in today's world.
I love Pop, but it's a fact that Tim Duncan was the catalyst that empowered Pop to be what he is now.
That's actually the perfect word. Tim was the catalyst for not just Pops, but like all of Spurs.
This isn't Belichick Brady, where you can make an argument about who made who. Pop is one of the greatest coaches of all time because of Tim Duncan. If you want to take credit away from Duncan by saying that he played for the best teams, you might be right, but that's only because he made them the best team. He gave up touches, let other guys hold the torch, put everyone around him in the best position to succeed, and he enjoyed it when they did. When I said earlier that the thing that hurt Duncan's stats more than anything was a lack of defensive numbers, I lied. The thing that hurt Duncan's stats more than anything was the fact that he never gave a shit about stats or awards.
And I love that.
He wanted his teams to succeed, and he wanted to win. That's it. He was a generational badass with an all-time skill set. The most complete player who has ever played the position of power forward. But if anything has hurt Duncan's perception as one of the very, very best players who has ever played, as a player who is criminally underrated when it comes to conversations like this, and for consideration as the greatest player who has ever played basketball, it would be that he was a mellow dude, a technically savvy big man who did what he did without fanfare, celebrations, or ostentation. It just wasn't him. And you know what? It worked wonders for the team, for himself, and for his teammates. Just listen to the way they talk about him. I don't think there's a more beloved team.
Thanks for memories, old man. Like your parent teammate. Sometimes all you need is to say is thank you to the best example of a leader, brother, friend. Looking forward to the phase, homie. And then here, Manu. Even though I knew it was coming, I'm still moved by the news. What a huge honor to have played with him for 14 seasons.
Teammate Van Tim Duncan. He was always the big brother, correcting them when they made mistakes and throwing his arms around their shoulders when things didn't go their way. He led in the most effective way possible, by example. Of all the end-of-career farewell wishes, this is the one that stuck out to me the most. From his former teammate, Brent Bones Berry. He quoted Mark Twain by saying, "To be good is noble, but to show others how to be good is nobler, and no trouble. For your brilliance, TD, I am grateful. For your skills as a player, I am in awe. And for your friendship, I am honored." Former Spurs assistant and former Bucks coach Mike Budenholzer said to ESPN's Kevin Arnovitz, "The magnitude of that, the number of people in this league who have enjoyed opportunity or found fortunate spots, you can trace it back to this one guy, to the way Timmy played ball and the way he conducted himself. The culture is Timmy." The NBA is a league of superstars and dynasties. From Russell to Jordan, from Chamberlain to LeBron. we remember its history through its champions.
Yep.
And in the history of North American sports, no one has been as good for as long as the Spurs. San Antonio's success is completely unprecedented in the world of basketball. Aside from his lockout-shortened sophomore season, Duncan won 50 or more games and qualified for the playoffs in every season of his 19-year career.
Which is insane.
He finished that career with a win percentage of 71%.
That is nuts. 71%.
That's 19 years of winning over 70% of the games in which you play. It is the best mark across a 19-year stretch that any basketball team has ever enjoyed. In fact, it is the best mark across a 19-year stretch that any team has enjoyed in professional North American sports history. The Spurs' run of success started in 1997, the year they drafted Tim Duncan.
Hey, that's when I was born.
Since then, he has been the cornerstone, the engine of the franchise that has perpetually defined what winning culture looks like in and outside of basketball. And so I say again, if you ran a team and you could pick any NBA player from any era and your goal was to win, you would pick Tim Duncan.
I would. I would know.
His abilities as a basketball player are what made him a superstar. But his consistency, willingness to be coached, love of his teammates, and his humility are the things that make Tim Duncan transcendent. I'll let Pop have the last word. Here he is after Tim Duncan announced his retirement.
You know, everybody always talks about who they like to eat dinner with. You know, if you had one night you could go to dinner or go to lunch with so-and-so, who would you like to do it with? And people say, you know, Mother Teresa and Jesus and the Dalai Lama. And, okay, I get it. And I can honestly tell you, my dinner would be with Timmy. And it would be because he's the most real, consistent, true person I've ever met in my life.
That's it. That's pretty much it. Man, holy shit. Firstly, another amazing video by Clayton, but this one, man, this one was absolutely incredible. 10 out of 10, beginning to end. Combination of storytelling, statistics, you know, and what a way for me to get introduced to Tim Duncan as well. Instead of just reacting to a highlight video, I'm so glad that I chose this video to be the first video that I watch and, you know, react to and learn about Tim Duncan and just how good he is. And honestly, I can't really argue with why, you know, he chose Tim to make the case on why he should be or could be considered as the GOAT or one of the GOATs of basketball, at least, you know what I mean? Because it's not for him, like he mentioned in the video, it's not just about the points and all that stuff. It's his influence with the Spurs. He doesn't care about the attention or the fame and all that shit, you know? He wants to be a good player, a good person, help his team, and get a win. Which I love, man. I love that. I mean, it's a shame. It is a shame that I will never, you know, I never got the chance to see them play. It is what it is. But yeah, I mean, look, I don't know if you guys have watched until this point. It is quite a long video. But for the Spurs fans out there, what is your best memory of one, being a Spurs fan and watching your team play, but also Tim Duncan? You know, let me hear your stories. What's your experience? But yeah, guys, if this video by any chance wasn't enough to convince you, let's have a look. So, as we know, 19 seasons with the San Antonio Spurs. Now, some of his accolades were mentioned in the video. Well, let's have a look. So, he's a 2-time All-NBA third team, a 10-time All-NBA first team, 3-time Finals MVP, Rookie of the Year, NABC Player of the Year, 2-time first team AP All-American, 7-time All-Defensive Second Team, 3-time All-NBA Second Team, 2-time MVP, All-Rookie First Team, Wooden Award, Diamond Stokes Teammate of the Year Award. At first time I've heard of that one, I think. 8-time All-Defensive First Team, All-Star MVP, AP Player of the Year, and the Naismith Award. There you go, man. Tim Duncan, the legend. Hey guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed watching and reacting to this. If you have, don't forget to leave a like and hit that subscribe button. It does help the channel a lot. And let me know in the comments, who do you guys want to see? What do you guys want to see? And if you have any cool other videos like for the Spurs or Tim Duncan, let me know and I'm going to add it to the list. Until the next one, you guys take care, stay safe, and keep on grinding. Much love all. See you guys in the next one. Bye. See you guys soon.